It wasn't so very long ago that if you talked about a timber house, you'd probably think of something like this, small and simple. But of more recent times, engineered wood products have redefined what is possible, and one of the real game changers to emerge in the past decade is a product known as cross-laminated timber, or CLT for short. It's a new take on an old idea.
The best way to think about it is like plywood. We call it jumbo ply as a nickname, but when you think about it, it's like a sheet of plywood that's up to, say, 3.5 metres wide and up to about 15 metres long, hence the jumbo. And then obviously it comes in different thicknesses, from 50mm thick right up to sort of 400mm thick, depending on its use. So it's basically giant plywood which can be prefabricated, cut to size, cut to shape, and delivered to site for a building, and literally then just screwed together.
CLT is a well-proven product in much of Europe and the US, but here in Australia it's brand new. This stylish house in the southern suburbs of Sydney is in fact one of Australia's very first domestic CLT homes. It's the brainchild of Anna and Chris Swadling.
I've been interested in CLT. I've been going to Germany for probably the last 4 years on timber conferences and things, and was of the understanding of this great product and looked into it and told Anna about it. And when we bought a house to knock down and rebuild, it was something that I wanted to get involved with, and I thought it to be good for Australia and a good future for our timber industry. So we thought we'd have a go, and we come up with a beautiful house in the end of it.
We like a challenge.
The Swadlings have plenty of timber pedigree. Chris is a sawmiller and is contracted by the New South Wales Government to reclaim and recycle wharf and bridge timber from around the state. And it was here that the value of lamination became clear. So this might be the very first home in the country built of CLT, but it's interesting that the value of laminated timber can be seen in the oldest piece of the house.
This beam, which is the spiritual heart of this home, is in fact a laminated piece of timber, and it's almost 100 years old. It is as though we have come full circle.
Everything's got a bit of history here, I guess, and the starting point was very much the old bridge beam from Bega, because Chris had that in his sawmill for so long, and he saved it. He saved it for the day that he would be building his own house. And that's what, when we went to the architect, we first said, this is what we're revolving our house around, and this is what we need you to plan around.
The planning process threw up some challenges of its own. Because CLT is such a new product here in Australia, finding people willing to take on the project was a battle.
Initially, because it was the unknown, it was a bit of a challenge. Finding an architect to jump on board, an engineer, nobody really had any experience with it. So we went through a few interviews with architects, and we had to find someone that we thought would be passionate like us about the product, and who we thought would, pick it up and run with it and learn all they needed to know to do their job properly.
This house has a split personality. The bottom section, with its traditional materials like concrete and bricks and steel, took some 4 months to build. There's no real surprises there.
The top part though, the top story, Andrew, is a very, very different kettle of fish. It is CLT and went up in literally days.
We got out of the ground, we got all our brickwork done, and then we were ready for the CLT. So we were very impressed. Everything was numbered, and the process was quite simple. Chris got everything in the right order, the cranes rocked up, the truck rocked up, and then everything was craned off in the right order, landed in the right spots, and then it was just the big screws that had to go in that were about that long.
To the millimetre, it was very impressive. It was good.
The speed of construction comes from the fact that the CLT panels are cut exactly to size, with window openings and plumbing and wiring recesses already installed. It increases the accuracy of construction, allows for long unsupported spans, and a very welcome byproduct is the fact that it stores carbon for the life of the building.
It's a great environmental story, but the other great one for what we see is in terms of quality of construction. It means that large pieces of our buildings can now be prefabricated in a factory, in a controlled environment, in a safe environment. Like using computers can be made very, very accurately, and then these large pieces or jigsaw panels of pieces of the building are all come to site as one and are literally then just screwed together.
This CLT building revolution isn't just confined to a family home, Dykes. There's a lot bigger developments currently underway.
Andrew, the CLT revolution will be keenly felt here in the commercial building space. This site, for example, in a matter of months will be 3 towers, 6 7, 8 stories high.
This is the MacArthur Gardens residential project in Campbelltown, New South Wales. It was originally intended as a normal steel and concrete structure until the successful contractor, Strong Build, pitched the novel idea of using CLT.
It's 101 affordable units. 2 towers are being retained by the community housing provider and one's being sold to the market. It's over 3 towers, 6, 7 and 8 floors. We've made the decision because of the benefits across laminated timber to construct those 3 towers solely out of mass timber.
And again, those benefits of faster assembly time along with greater accuracy mean the towers will go up much faster than a traditional build. So Adam, we're here on top of the formwork for the rostrum for the western tower, the first tower that you're going to knock up here. Tell me, how long does it take you to get to this stage, to get the concrete down?
Yeah, from starting on site it takes about 4 to 4.5 months to get to the stage where we can start installing the first timber tower for the building for Tower A.
Righto, so then the timber turns up and you're building 6 stories on top of this. How long to put that up?
Just 4 weeks.
That's amazing, isn't it?
It is, yeah. It's probably half the time of what an equivalent concrete structure would take.
Yep.
And the added advantage is we're in under that first floor straight away, starting our fit-out sequence, which is probably another 4-week advantage on a conventional build. Panels are on the docks now, so we're probably about a week away from pouring the ground floor transfer under the first tower, building A, so I can't wait actually, it's going to be really good.
For this build, some 70 containers of CLT panels are being shipped halfway around the world from Austria. The first few have just begun to arrive.
Jane, it is like Christmas for you because your whole building, the whole 3 towers, have just started to arrive in the country. We're at the Port of Botany here. Tell us about these containers.
Yeah, look, it's pretty exciting, Andrew. We've had our first containers arrive all the way from Austria. So they've been on the boat for a little while, and it's pretty exciting to have them here in the country. We've got about a bit over 70 containers in total.
Yeah, right. Okay.
The first few containers are here, which are going to be for the first building, which will go up in a couple of weeks' time. So it's exciting.
Come on, let's get in.
Open up and see how we go.
Let's do it. So inside, mate, it's just a great big jigsaw puzzle, basically.
Yeah, pretty much. It's a lot of panels, and we've got to work out where they're going to go and what order they're going to go in. Moment of truth, Andrew.
The moment of truth, and mate, there we go. That's what you've been waiting for.
There we go. It's pretty exciting.
Yeah.
Big jigsaw puzzle. We've just got to work out how they go together now.
Each piece presumably is labelled?
Yeah, look, it's labelled. The team will pull it out and work out what order it needs to go in so that we can put it together efficiently on site. So yeah, it's a pretty exciting time for the whole company.
So as the giant jigsaw of MacArthur Gardens takes shape and other projects inevitably follow, there is still one obvious missing piece of the puzzle. So it is sustainable, it is renewable, but if there is one chink in the whole CLT story as it applies here in Australia, it is the fact that most of it, all of it in fact, comes from overseas. It has to be shipped into the country.
Nick, instead of it turning up in shipping containers, wouldn't it be better if it was manufactured just down the road? That situation is set to change with the announcement of plans to build a brand new CLT manufacturing facility in the Albury-Wodonga region. XLAM is the company behind the project and plans to be in production in 2017 using Australian plantation timber. The forecast output of the plant is 60,000 cubic metres of CLT annually.
The most famous building in Australia is the Forte building in Melbourne, which was built by Lend-Lease a few years ago. It was the tallest timber apartment building in the world, just recently taken over by a 14-storey building in Norway. That had approximately 1,000 cubes of CLT in the Forte building. So it basically means we could be manufacturing a Forte building per week with that sort of capacity.
Clearly, we'll all be hearing a lot more about CLT building in the coming years. Sydney architect James Fitzpatrick is a long-time champion of the product and is about to begin work on his own CLT dream house, a showpiece for the strengths and virtues of CLT.
We'll be lifting panels into our own family home in November. So we're building a house on the lower North Shore of Sydney and all out of cross-laminated timber. We're pushing some of the boundaries from the engineering, and I think that's quite important that we actually use, practice what we preach, I suppose, in some ways. Just really push those boundaries to see what the material could do, how it can perform.
As far as performance goes, Chris and Anna Swadling have been in their CLT house for almost a year, and so far there are no complaints.
Just the warmth that it brings to your mind. This is a perfect example, this house. You can have the roughest day ever at work and you walk in here and your mind is fresh, it's clear. It's just an amazing feeling. I can't explain why that happens. It's got to do with nature and water, I'm sure of it, but it's just a good feeling and I enjoy it. I wouldn't change it for the world. It's just a great thing.
Cross-laminated timber, CLT, is often referred to as jumbo plywood but uses thicker elements in its manufacture. It can be made in a range of thicknesses and used for internal and external walls, floors and roofs. Lots of work is done off-site, so the building process is speedy and accurate. Environmentally, the timber stores carbon throughout its life, and when the Xlam Australia plant is up and running, more than 60,000 cubic metres will be produced from sustainably grown, certified Australian plantations.